right, hello. Thanks for joining me this evening. This is going to be a different night. Good evening, Kurt and Tao and Jeff and Paul and Jam and Peace. Good to see you here. That's loud. Turn that down. Louder than I wanted. Anyway, so tonight's going to be, like I said, a little different. Last week, I guess it was, or started talking about, making some new music and process and that kind of thing. So it's kind of sort of where we're going to go a little bit tonight. The kind of the start of that, and I thought there's a couple things that I would probably start to touch on tonight, but a little bit of sound design will happen, and we're going to probably do some of that, believe it or not, on the wavestate, which is, as some of you know, I've been kind of frustrated with. I did have kind of a sort of a breakthrough with it, though, the other day, and actually sat down and was able to create a patch that wasn't awful. Make sure that's the only thing we're hearing. Let's see. Should be this one. Yeah. Where am I? Rudvik, yes. It should be interesting to see what if I come up with anything worthwhile. So this one that you're hearing right now is the one that happened when the light bulb came on the other night. And I think it's pretty presentable. So anyway, we'll play around with the wave state some. Also going to play about with poking through some stuff in Kontakt, Kontakt instruments. So so that is well, we'll talk about this patch. I'll bring it up. In fact, why don't we go ahead and just go right there? Paul, we'll catch up on the MiniFreak. Will remind me to cycle back around to that, and let's go ahead. I did this in I was playing this off the wavestate hardware tonight, but the patch itself was done in wavestate native. So I do have a wavestate native track. Too small on my screen here. Let's see, is that the track? That's it. And so let's go ahead. I've got that sitting in an initial performance at the moment. And why is it not here? It was here earlier. Jeez. Oh, I see why. There we go. So this is the patch. Let's go ahead and bring everything up full screen. So there, I used all 4 layers for this. The first, we'll go through them one at a time. The first layer is this thing. So it cycles through 3 different samples, and I've kind of sort of got some varying timing going on, and some chance, if you will, on whether or not the timing steps play. And the shape it cycles through the same 4 shapes. So I don't remember why I put all 4 in there. It seemed like the thing to do at the time. So that's the first layer. That off. Second layer is 2 samples. And third layer is actually the same 2 samples, but in slightly different, there's some slight differences to how this particular layer plays, besides just being up an octave. And then finally the fourth layer. Fourth layer is really just a bass drone, sort of. Kind of a timed bass drone thing. Just to give it a little pulse. And so it's, you know, it's not super fancy, but it's got all kinds of motion. It's like, this is... So I'm digging it. Let me check something real quick. Make sure our levels look reasonable. Had a problem a couple weeks ago where somehow or another, even though all things were about the same as they always were, the levels were completely out of whack. Yeah, we'll get some fancier stuff going on. This is, you know, this was one session. I spent a bunch of time on. I spent about 4 hours on this because, you know, learning as I go. I put it away and came back to it the next day and decided, yeah, you know, this really isn't too bad for a first blush, you know. But so another thing that is going on in this, I do have different parts of it playing in different keyboard zones. So that's I've got certain things only happen. The drone only happens up to, starts to fade out in here somewhere, and then those higher kind of sequenced parts picks up, and the A layer is there throughout. So yeah, so I don't think, what are there? There are no single samples, or no I shouldn't say single samples, no multi samples in this at all. It's all wave sequences. It didn't necessarily set out that way. That bass drone layer was originally just a sample. I decided I wanted a little bit of a pulse, so that was that. And this actually isn't my very first. I apparently a long time ago, I did this one and basically forgot about it. But I don't even remember. I don't even remember doing this one, to be honest. This one's all single multi samples. And there's some others that I don't really. There are a couple other things that I did with the wave state that I don't really count. They were basically, I was trying to get the wave state to mimic some, I guess, more vintage synths. Basically had a mini Moog clone going in it, and so it's amazingly versatile instrument. especially for being all sample based. So I'm pretty happy now. And honestly, I was on the verge of getting ready to sell it if I wasn't gonna do anything more with it. Half God, but half beast. Welcome. Good to see you. So that was that. Let's jump back. No apparent order tonight. So let's jump back to Paul's comment about the vocoder of the MiniFreak V. Paul, you've got the hardware version of the MiniFreak, right? Oh no, in MiniFreak V. So I started to fool around with the new version, or what I thought was the new version, but I don't see the vocoder in the MiniFreak V that was in my latest update. What I've heard of the hardware version of it, it's probably one of the best inexpensive vocoders I've heard in a long, long time. A couple of people have done some demos of it, and it's really impressive. So at some point, I'll get around to fooling around with that in MiniFreak V. FX1 select audio in. Okay, all right, cool. I will fool with that. Not really on the plan for tonight, but it's an effect, not an. Okay, that explains it. Okay, so that took a while to come up. Audio in self or audio in external. Okay. Well, that'll explain why I was looking in the wrong place. And, basically I downloaded it, peeked and poked at it, and had other stuff I had to do. I had about a minute and a half to look at the new update, and so I will get to that at some point. It's a vacillator. So I'm seeing comments just a little bit before you guys are for some reason. I don't know why it's delayed, but hey, at least they're up on the screen now. So that's where they seem to be. I don't know. The chat thing is a source of frustration. There it goes. I'm not sure why what's up with the timing. I have the host effects. Anyway, they're off into a conversation. So I wanted to fool around with a couple of things. Like I said, I wanted to fool around with wavestate native, and I want to fool around with. I had a thing happen the other day. I was watching watching a stream from another prominent YouTuber, and we were talking about ambient music, and he was talking about percussion, and I mentioned in the chat that I used for some stuff. I used the Native Instruments session percussionist, and I was surprised, but I would have thought from his response that I had invoked the devil. He went on a Native Instruments rant that I was just like, really? Wow. So anyway, forgot to open this. That was kind of surprising, but he made some comments about Native Instruments, and now I don't know when the last time he looked at Native Instruments stuff at all, but he made a comment about them, never updating anything, and some other stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I had just gotten in the last month, I think 2 Kontakt updates, an update to Complete Control, and a few other updates from Native Instruments. And I'm like, I've been working with Native Instruments for over 20 years now. I've been using Absynth since it came to Native Instruments, because it was Rhizomatic before Native Instruments started distributing it. and I've had Reactor since there's been Reactor, and the only thing that I ever found them to be slow about updating, because basically speaking, when they put out a product, it's, you know, Native Instruments is pretty solid, and so, you know, a lot of their stuff is, you know, it's solid when it comes out the door. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know. Um, and I didn't start with complete until version 13, I think it was. And I got 13 because I wanted to have Absynth back. And that was going to be like the last way I was going to be able to relicense Absynth. So, because my license was old and lost, and a long story. And it wasn't really, my license for Absynth was not really a normal license because I beta tested it for them. When they were first starting to repackage it their way, I beta tested the product. So that's how I got my license. And so, you know, I wanted to be in I was sad that it was going to go away, but I wanted to make sure I had the latest version possible. And you know, they haven't done a lot. I know they haven't updated Reactor in a long time, but you know, it's solid. It's a VST3, and it's solid. There's no super big reason to do much with it, as long as it's working perfectly. They've been working a lot on Kontakt of late, and yes, I know the updates. The updates with the machine hardware and the also affected their control, their complete control keyboards as well. When they moved to this latest NKS stuff, they changed the way the keyboards work completely, and or they changed the way keyboards were going to work with it. And I mean, I've shown this here on the channel a few times. But you know, when I get let me get the camera where it belongs. New camera. I'm still figuring where everything is. There we go. So the you know, one of the things that I really like about this new the new, still moving. Okay, well, sorry guys. One thing I really like about this the new Control S is this guy. And yes, my version 1 controller is obsolete. It's sitting over there. You can't see where I'm pointing, but it is sitting, you know, behind the keyboard, leaned up on the shelf. And I say it's obsolete, but if you held on to the old version of the editor, like I did, you can program the thing to be a standalone MIDI controller. So it's not completely useless. You know, it's just doesn't work. It doesn't play with complete control anymore. And I get that people got frustrated because of that. But quite frankly, the changes that they made to NKS and complete control and this whole ecosystem, the first gen and even second gen controllers weren't going to be able to play. And apparently the second gen can do a few things, but you know, it's a vast improvement. And you know, those old controllers were, Paul, they were old. You know, it was an old product when I bought one, and I bought it just because the keyboard is so good. So it's not like it's a total waste. I'll use it for something, somewhere maybe. Although I'm going to be clearing out. I keep saying this, but I am actually going to start clearing out some stuff I'm not using. Yeah, dude, 2015 is old. That's hey Jeff, welcome back. So yeah, it's old. It's old in of course, you know, you're rocking some other older gear over there at your place too. So in this environment, in the software driven music environment, 10 years is old. 5 years is old, honestly. So my only complaint about updates with Native Instruments was they rolled the Mark III Control S's out um, um, I think prematurely, and it came out missing a lot of features. As far as so Ruthvik, the microKorg, I mean, they're still making microKorgs. I think Korg is a different company as far as old things go. I mean, the what was it, 2011, I think? No. Yeah, 2011 is when the Korg Kronos first shipped. And, they discontinued the Kronos 2. Damn, that mic noise is back. Ugh. That's very frustrating. Anyway, the Kronos 1 got replaced with the Kronos 2, which they discontinued, a couple years ago. And now they've re-released the Kronos 3. And the Kronos 3, as near as I can tell, is a Kronos 2 with a better SSD. Because from what I have seen of the reviews and the information about the Kronos 3, is instead of taking 3.5 minutes to boot up the keyboard, it takes about 1.5 minutes. And I achieved that by replacing the SSD in my Kronos 2 before I sold it. So I don't think they really made any difference. I think they found old stock of the motherboards, of the PC motherboards they were using in the thing, and said, oh, we can make some more keyboards. Because they didn't change anything else about it. They just rolled it back out the door again. So Korg is a little different as far as making something forever. They're still making, when did I get my Cross 2? I had a Cross 2 before I had a pair of Cross 2s before I had the Kronos. And they're still making Cross 2s. So, Korg doesn't change. They get a thing that's not broken, and it takes them a long time to decide to fix it. The difference is these R&D, the R&D synths, the microKorg. It's a classic. It's destined to be a classic. I think the user interface on it is terrible, but that's because it's so small and they've crammed so many words on the front panel. The microKorg 2, or whatever the version of it that just came out, looks really nice, and from what I've heard, sounds really good. But I considered buying one of those. They put a nice display on the 2.0. So the XL, I think, was a waste of time. I'm not sure what that was all about. But the 2.0, I think, is a real winner, and I think it's going to be the new microKorg cult classic when the time comes, if that makes sense. Because the things sound great. The original microKorgs sound fantastic, and I can't remember what engine they're sort of based around. I've talked about Korg and their architecture many times. It's like when that light bulb turned on, that the overarching architecture of MS-2000, that's right, the overarching architecture of pretty much every Korg synth is exactly the same. That opened up a lot of doors for me. And that goes back to, at least in my experience with Korg stuff, it predates this, but my first notion of an architecture, of a consistent architecture in Korg, was with the X50. And I looked at some other of their models and started to see the same set of building blocks and arranged in the same way. And that even that's even true to a great extent to the R&D synths, at least the multi-poly, the mod wave, and the wavestate. They work exactly the same way as a Kronos or as an M3 or any number, even the M1. If you go all the way back to the M1, I think that's where this current architecture from Korg started. So Korg is one to build the same or something very like it forever, and I don't blame them. And Yamaha's the same way. I mean, what's the Montage? The Montage is an SY99. It's really the same basic synthesizer. And a lot of people will start to quake a little bit when I say stuff like that. But if you really dig into it, it's exactly the same, just grown up, which is fine. I think the only people that have really done anything different in the last, of the big three, is Roland. They kind of shook everything up in their world, but only to a point. So anyway, off topic, we wandered because we're geeks and that's what we do. So anyway, after the comment was made, Paul, you brought up the comment of the user interface for Absynth, and yeah, it's not the prettiest thing on earth. I mean, it's dated. I kind of got into it when it was first out, and but yeah, now I find it hard to get around. It sounds the synth still sounds fantastic though, and there's no two ways around that. This is still a and I rolled off the low end on this. Let's get this EQ out of there. I put that EQ on there so this patch would play well with the rest of them. And, this technically wasn't going to get any love. Absynth was not going to get any love, but it's NKS compatible now. And I can, it's not NKS2, but it's NKS compatible, and I've got a few screens of controllers that I can play with from the controller here, from the new S49. And one of the things about Absynth is I think it's it's kind of sort of, it was groundbreaking when it came out. And I will say, I'm not sure. There's a couple of things that they did. I'm not sure what they did, but it seems to me that when I first started using it, I could do more with sizing the screen and or I could make it fill the screen, and things were sort of readable. The other thing they seem to have added. Let's go to the DAW. And they've got, this is, I'll say, this is weird. It's a weird looking thing. And it's not always clear, unless you're familiar with it, what all this swirly stuff is all about. But it's really just, it's a 3 oscillator synth with separate filters for each oscillator and separate modulation for each oscillator that gets mixed together, comes through some main effects, and then more resonators and out the door. So this does, this is a backhoe. This is a backhoe. And, when I get into looking at this, and looking closely at it, the building blocks of pretty much every modern soft synth came from here. This is where a lot of this stuff that's prevalent today came from. Everyone's like, oh, we got to do that, and so, it's every bit the synth that, I don't know, Vital is, or I'll put it up against the mod wave in a lot of ways. Now, there's stuff that mod wave does that Absynth doesn't, sort of. There's stuff in here that you don't really see, and that's kind of a problem. But we get into, if you want something that's a little more visible and easy to see while you're working with it, it does have a performance mode. And it's got the XY pad that, if you've got an XY pad to drive it, you've got an XY thing going on. So all of this stuff that is new was 22 years old, or 23 years old now. So I mean, you've got waveform editing, and it's all in here. I mean, this is an actual wave morphing, which is a thing that was what I fell in love with. Envelopes to galore. This is a serious piece of synth. And yes, the user interface is clunky, but it was the times. But like I said, they've taken in these newer versions, and kind of confined it to the same space and shape as previous versions of Kontakt. And that kind of sort of, because there weren't those restrictions when the thing was first out, when I first started using it. And part of that's what I get, I guess, for stepping away for a while and then coming back. There's changes. I might have seen those changes as we went along. But anyway, it's still a great sounding synth. And I'm glad to have it again for as much as I work with it, and then the other thing we talked about, we were talking about Kontakt, and Kontakt in versions 4 and 5, 6, pretty clunky, not a pretty thing, and it was kind of limited. But some of the new stuff they're doing with Kontakt now is pretty nifty. I will probably never create my own Kontakt instruments, but there are some really good ones out there. 3 months ago, I guess, OSS came out with their Porphyra instrument, which was the first one written specifically for Kontakt 8. And there's a lot going on in that as well. I mean, Kontakt has turned into a really, really deep synthesizer engine, and they've come up with a whole bunch of these play series instruments that just sound wonderful. And built a great infrastructure for people to build in. I mean, it's really, I don't know. I'm really happy with Native Instruments. And I was surprised at this particular um, uh, creator and channel owner for his attack, honestly, because usually he's very much about use the tools that you like, use the tools that you know, use the tools that you're comfortable with. And I felt like he was going to come through the screen at me. I mean, it was really not, maybe he was having a bad day. I don't know. But anyway, I think one thing that I can certainly say is we are in a wonderful time to be electronic musicians because we've got so many choices and so many great pieces of software and great pieces of hardware. And oh, thank you. Thanks, Quasor. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. I have not tried Rattly and Raw, so I will try. I'm going to write down a notepad. By the way, these things here are items in the Native Instruments complete library that I'm actually removing from my system because I don't use them. So Rattly and Raw. I don't talk well and write at the same time. I will start to write what I'm saying. Okay, that's a note made. I will look into those. I've got quite a few of their instruments for Kontakt, and every one of them sounds fantastic. So I don't, anyway, again, we have in the past, I don't know, couple months had 2 or 3 at least updates to Kontakt as things got added. The celebrated fictional mega organ of Steam Lord Cornelius. I'm not sure I want to know about some guy named Cornelius's organ. No, seriously though, I'll look into them and see what's out there. There's a lot of great stuff out there for Kontakt, and so there's some wonderful patch libraries out there now for Pigments, and pretty much if there's a synth you like or an engine you like, there's some great folks out there making some great patches available. So speaking of patches, let us move to wavestate and see what kind of trouble I can get into. I'm going to put the DAW up full screen, and I will definitely check it out, Paul, for sure. So I'm going to take that off. I'm going to do this. One thing I don't like about the wavestate is the init performance is not something that I would consider an init performance. Like this thing is actually terrifically loud when it comes in. So let me turn it down where it needs to be without blowing your ears off. To me, an init performance just plays a saw wave and gets on with its life, So I have no idea what I want to make. So, and now one thing that I found, I find, I guess, maybe less than ideal about the way at least the VST, the native app, is laid out, is, to me, when I want to create a patch, yeah, that's true. I guess, okay, I can see that. My inclination is to want to start with my sound sources and then work through the chain. So to me, you can have an overall or player page or whatever, and then you should have your sound source. So, my initial reaction was, okay, I go into synthesis. Well, there's no sound sources here. You have to go to the wave sequence page, whether you're doing a wave sequence or a single sample, and start there, and then work backwards and forwards and jumping around. So I think the flow of this could be a little better. But again, so I'm talking about that architecture though. So we have each layer, the Korg the classic Korg architecture. We have each layer which has a sound source and modifiers, and various where it's going to live on the keyboard, and then we go into its effects, and then we go into the master effects, and then we go out the door, and that's M1, X50, Kronos, Cross. Believe it or not, the cheapo PS60, same basic architecture. It's just what it's wrapped in. So now that light has come on over my head, and the light came on over my head about how this works, I was like, oh, okay. So for the basics anyway, this is actually not that hard a synth to deal with. There are details that I'm still working through, and I'll just have to bang away at them. But if we go in here, we can get into deciding what we want our first sample to be. I'm going to knock this down to a single step for the moment. And I love to make pads. It's one of the nice motion pads. It's one of my favorite things to make. So we're going to start on a pad. We'll start with the layer, and we'll go in here and find. I have no idea what any of these samples sound like. The atmospheres I know are pretty good, but let's do. Excuse me. Wonder where that came from. Let's try that one. What's this sound like? That one's not floating my boat, so to speak. We'll do this, see what this sounds like. The thumping you hear is the mic picking up my banging on the keyboard. Oh, that's nice. So next I want to see what could that change to. Drag these guys out. These guys control in some way the looping through the sequence. So now if I play this, it'll play the first one for, what have I got it for a second, and then a quarter second for this one. Yeah, you're right. That gets to be the challenge, and depending on, I like things to not necessarily always change together though. So that's why like that the patch that I had loaded up before, all the timing on there's 3 different sets of timing going on in that thing. There's layer A's got one set, layer B and C has another set of timing, and layer D has its own timing. So I get this. I'm waving my hands here while you're looking at my screen. I get this motion and wave going through the thing that kind of rolls and is never so we never have the same thing quite repeat. So I like to do things like that for in my pads anyway. Now some of the other things like if it's something it's more of a lead line or a lead synth, then yes, I want things to play well together or play together from a timing standpoint. Yeah, it's well, and yeah, so that's one thing I love about this. I mean, I've got this set a second and a quarter second, but they could easily be 10 seconds per, per step. I don't know that I want to do that now, but so that was that Shady Cove pad. That was if we wander between these two. Let's see. So Rudvik, is there a way to change the pitch of an individual sample in a sample lane? In other words, this pitch, this second one, to my mind, really ought to be an octave higher than what it is. To be more, actually, never mind, I got it right here. I see it. If I would look at the screen, it would tell me. See, they fit together a little better that way. Let's see. So I want to change what shape that I know works well for me is, where is it? I think it's, nope, it's not that one. Oh, is it log up? Log up, yeah. That was the one I wanted. So it's if you click on this, so if you're a native, I have no idea where to look on the hardware. I find the hardware for the wave state in particular to be very opaque, but the software, both the VST and the editor is great. All right, I need a different one that. Oh, I know what I might want to do. Let's do this and do this. And actually copy this step, Oops. Copy, paste. And this one I want to have actually a different. Now let's get here. Let's try something here real quick. Let's do. Oh, where is it? Still learning. Yeah, I just can't get through the. I just can't get the hardware to make any sense to me. And I've shown this before, but you know, let me get this so when it switches over, it'll be a little easier to deal with. Minimize that. So, you know, there's the editor for the hardware, which I've got set larger than the screen at the moment, but on another computer. I ran into problems with having USB issues with having all this stuff plugged into the same computer. So basically I have a separate computer to do this. To do quick editing on these guys, although I prefer personally to work in this and export it from here and then edit and then bring it into the hardware. Somewhere here, let's do this. I should be able to edit this thing, right? I want maybe that'll work. Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to make that longer. Better. And then I'm gonna jump ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put delay on there. Oh, let's see more of that, please. Make it wider. All right, now back to wave sequence. I still want to be able to change. Oh, let's see. What I really want is something that crossfades a little more smoothly coming out of that. Maybe just a slow attack release will work. And probably that would work for both of them. A little better. I can always see things I wish I could do. Like I wish I could have this slope up this way and then come down the other way. I guess you can't have everything, huh? Oh, what's swell signed? There we go. That's getting there. Let's see. Make that a little longer, make that longer. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do because this is really close. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this layer down here, and then I'm going to reverse the timings a little bit. That's nice. Okay, so now, let's see. Overall, we will change the amplifier envelope and make it more pad-like. I'll tell you what, finding my way with this synthesizer is a lovely feeling. I was so frustrated with this for so long, and like I said, I was close to selling it. I really was, and I'm glad I waited, and I'm glad I gave it one more try. You know, it's just because I'm not doing anything fancy with it, but I'm getting results that I like, and I'm already getting results that I like. And I'm one of those. I don't necessarily. There we go. That's what I was missing. Forgetting about that. There we go. Now we're getting there. Man, I haven't even touched the filters yet. This is this for those who don't haven't done a lot of sound design. This is what, more than making the songs, sound design is what really jazzes me. It really gets me. I really get excited doing sound design. I have so much fun doing it, especially once I begin to figure out how the synth works. You know. I can spend I can spend hours and hours just noodling around with sound design. It's part of why I don't get a lot of music made, because I enjoy sound design so much. And one thing that I've learned recently is that a sound or a preset does not have to have all the bells and whistles turned on to be a great patch. I've seen some. Oh, what's the guy's name? British guy, does a lot of patches for Pigments, and they sound amazing. And I've bought a few of them. Chaos is fun, isn't it? Um, you got some Pigments patches, and they're gorgeous, and they're incredibly simple. Just, going into what he's done, and it's like there's just, he'll use, sometimes it's only one oscillator, and but these great sounds. And he's got anyway. So anyway, let's see. So let's play with the filters. Oh, actually, there was one thing I didn't finish up here, I don't think. Did I get these right? You know what? I'm going to do that on step one, because it's a little bit harsh there, I think. And the fade out here should be a little longer, and the crossfade time should be a little longer. And same here, if I'm getting this right. Tell you what, let's add a third sample to this one. I wanted to do Let's try that. Oh, I need to enable that one. Come on, get out there. To drag the bottom one first, and then you can drag the top one. That's neat. But I want to turn its I'm going to trim it down just a little bit. Yeah, just because it's there doesn't mean you have to twiddle. Just because a synth has a knob or a setting or whatever doesn't mean you have to use it. And I know I've been guilty of laying it on pretty thick on some things as well. I don't know. It's I guess it's kind of a kind of a some sort of human nature thing, because it's like we have it, we have to use it, you know. I paid for it. All right, so let's go back to this layer, go into the filter. I do want to play with the filter though. I do want to add some a little bit of filter sweeping to this. So let's go into the envelope and do something like that. And then here we can change the curves of all the hills in the envelope, but bring the cutoff down a bit. And we're going to want to do some envelope or some LFO on that. And I think I'll make it a continuous random. And we're going to, let's see. Hopefully that'll smooth it out some. Slow it down a bunch. I'm not going to make it sync the tempo though on this one. And then we'll take the LFO and turn that up some. Because I am all about motion. think I'm going to leave that one alone. Let's see. Just change my envelope a little bit. I want to have it come up a little bit behind the other one. And these envelopes get long too. Let's make this one move around a little bit. Okay, so panning LFO, we'll do another one of those randoms. I don't like that one so much. I haven't used on the Korgs anyway. I haven't used any super long releases. Most of the stuff that I have been doing to now has moved a little more quickly than a lot of your stuff does. So, real quick question, Jeff, if you're still here, are you streaming tonight? I don't want to run over your time. And I will, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and that and some of that. You are not streaming. Okay, well, maybe I'll go a little bit long, although it's one of my DC days tomorrow, so I can't stay up too late because I still have to make my lunch for tomorrow. In fact, I'll probably go ahead and add this last little bit to the pan LFO, add some pan LFO here. Let's slow that down a little more. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that. Let's listen to this. Subtle, but you could hear it moving around. While I'm thinking of it, Kurt, you need to look up Rudethik's some of his music. I think you'll like it a lot. I posted a link to Rudethik's Bandcamp and YouTube channel, I think last week or the week before. And I will add it to the show notes for tonight at some point as well. I'm going to make this a little more, have there be a little more pan effect going on here. So I think the only thing that would make these VSTs and synths better for me would be if they could be NKS compatible or NKS compliant. That would just make it for me, because then I could do, without having to do a lot of work because I'm lazy, map the 8 macro knobs on the wave state, or the macro functions, map them easily to the Control S controller for performance. All right, I think this is actually almost done. Let's just do a little bit of effect stuff here. Go for this. What do we got here? What can I do to... I think... Oh, the Poly 6 ensemble would be nice on one of them. Wow. Instant drone. Well, not quite instant, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go to sleep pretty soon too, Half God. Thanks for coming by. Oh, it's 2:20 where you are. Yeah, that's a bit late or early, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah, good night. Thank you for coming. We'll talk to you soon. All right, and then let's see. I'm going to keep them both with the same delay settings, I think. At least keep it tied together that way. Looking at the master reverb, I'm going to go... Oh, yeah, we'll stick with Overb. And so talking about a Korg doing the same thing, this is exactly the same effect. The Overb effect is exactly the same, right down to many of the presets that are in the Kronos. So it's like, oh, Overb is here, cool. It was, and so I've gotten real comfortable with Korg, and there was a point, and I've talked about this before, but there was a point where I was never going to buy another Korg synth again in my life. I had bought an X2 many years ago, and the user interface was horrible, and I could never get anything done with it. And it sounded nice. The presets sounded nice, but it just didn't. I couldn't get anything done. And I came to that synth after my VFX SD, from my Sonic VFX SD. Luke, here he is. I'm wavestating. Wrapped up in Ted Lasso. All right. I think I'm going to call this patch done. Now let's see if I can save it without losing it. Yep, there we go. Okay, so let's call this Give it a name. What are we going to call it? I'll come back to that. Author is that. Collection is that. We'll call it a pad. And let's see. That'll work. Late to the party. There you go. That's it. Save as new. There we go. New sound. Love it. And there's still a couple other things I want to do to this, but this is mostly done. Just like this. So I did tonight in C, and everything I've been playing with as I'm testing things is D. I just naturally, thank you, Luke. Second one with this that I consider a real patch. I love this thing now, man. I was, as I said, I was pretty close to giving up on it and making it go away. Yeah, this thing is there's some things that I want to get to because when I first got this, my knee-jerk reaction. Thank you. My knee-jerk reaction was this can be Berlin School in a box, and I think it and the multi-poly in particular really lend themselves to that. And so that was really where I wanted to go, and I was not making any traction and blah 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 blah. But I've kind of sort of I caught a video by someone else. It was like a 2.5-minute video on, or 5-minute video on building a pad. And, you know, it was like, he went through building a pad in less than 5 minutes. And that was, you know, that was the trigger for the light bulbs. I think it was Ian Dixon who did it. And, you know, it wasn't complete. It wasn't done. It wasn't completely pad-like in 5 minutes, but it was, you know, he went through step by step. This, you do this, then you do this, then you do this. I was like, oh, I could have had a V8, you know. And yeah, he is. And I think sometimes I don't feel like his videos are organized as you're going through it, and then all of a sudden the organization falls together, and oh, that's what he was, you know, it's like boom. I like his videos are very natural, and you know, even if he makes a mistake, he leaves it in and shows these are the mistakes that happen. So, you know, it's yeah, I really like his videos a lot too. Anyway, let's see. As I said, I started this. I did tonight in C. Everything my go-to key is D minor. So playing tonight in C, if you heard the opening jam, my playing in C is not always as good as other keys. And D minor and G minor are like my go-tos. But anyway, so there was one other thing. I didn't write anything down for tonight. And whatever it is isn't super important, except that I did. I'm working on some music for my wife's new side hustle, and B flat Dorian. I'll have to play with that. And if I'm not careful, that will be the key for the next Gallimaufry jam, I'm sure. Because now, because Jeff's here and he heard that, so or saw that. So yeah, we'll play with that. Anyway, so my wife is doing trying to come up with the best way to describe what she's doing. At any rate, she needed she needed music that would work well with tarot card reading and holding space and would build on the seven chakras. And so I've been working on that, and I finished up a piece for her that's not going to. It'll be released eventually through her website, and when that fully comes online, and it's basically the music is intended for use during her workshops, but we're going to make it available to workshop attendees and pretty much anyone who wants it. I'm also going to work on a series of that will be available on my Bandcamp. It's separate from the album that I want to do and separate from the performance stuff that I want to do by November. So I'm really charged up because I've got a lot of stuff to work on now. It's really, I'm getting excited again. So this is going to be, I'm looking forward to a lot of fun coming up. In the meantime, it is 9:30. So as I said, I need to go into Washington tomorrow. I still need to make my lunch and for tomorrow because I won't have time in the morning. So I'm going to go ahead and play a little more music, play out. We'll use this new patch. Did I have? I don't think I have Sunday jams as well. Yes, absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. Sunday jams, I will be there with bells on, or well, not bells, with a synth. Yeah, I appreciate that, Luke. I wish I was home working in my studio, although I think more of that. Yeah, I saw it's going to be a small group. I know it being Father's Day, a lot of folks can't make it, and that's okay. We'll still have fun. Anyway, yeah, I think there's going to be, well, there's going to be more studio time for me in the future. I'm not sure what the rest of my life looks like because of that, but stay tuned. It's going to get interesting. In the meantime, thank you all for coming. I'm going to jump over to the dog again real quick so I see what's going on. Actually, I can see from here. I'm going to play some music, and I will catch you all again next week. Thank you all for coming.